What up, everybody? Lonnie here. I've done most of these videos now in regards around TXC and crypto and such. That has been mostly from a demand state. I've been part of that project as far as a mining seat since December last year. Um, and so I've been following the project, and within the community, I noticed that there was a lot of people who had some unfamiliarity with market as far as buying and selling and investing um, in any kind of crypto or equity or any of such. And it stemmed me into making a couple of the videos on how to use some of the exchanges that it offers. Is where that came from, and is what sparked me to start this channel and start everything. Where my most of my experience though has always been in equities in the stock market, both as the investing side and as a day trader. I actually started Bully Bins with profits that I gained from being a day trader, and then I had sustained the beginning initial starting of the business when as business was growing and gradually by with supplemental income from day trading. So I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. I don't have any kind of certificates to hand out and brag about. I just have a lot of. I enjoy this, and I have a lot of enthusiasm in this space to where I follow it enough, and so I'm trying to share and bring that to everybody because I think that um, you know we all should be investing our own money and not giving it to the institutions and banks and stuff, because they're making way more money on our money than what they're giving back. So it is possible to do it yourself. And so I figured I might as well do my first video on the stock side and some of the things that I do when I'm looking for these type of investments. We'll jump right into this. This is my watch list. I call it the option plays. Not all of these are literally option plays. They're just more of my daily um, ones that I track and follow as a group. As you can see, they're all kind of grouped in together, and they're all very similar. What these all are specifically around are chips and AI, data centers, cloud stuff, the Internet of Things, IoT, AI, um, and that kind of stuff, because we are in an AI gold rush right now, and we compare it to the gold rush of finding gold and silver, literally, back in the day, and what that brought. And the way that I compare it to where we're at now is we're in the pick and shovel phase, where what is valuable now is how do you get access to AI, and how do you get access to these data centers or to this cloud storage and all this technology, and it's through the chips and through the data centers. So that's why my primary focus is in this, and that is the picks and the shovels. The next step after this is, what does this AI and what is this all these data centers and information and technology going to yield as far as actually making money? And that's coming in the next 5 years or so, probably, maybe sooner, depending on development. Um, Personal opinion, I think it's going to be robotics first. So if you come through this list, this section right, I went too far. Where did I put it? Um, ASML, Applied Materials, Lam Research, KLA Corp. Those are the companies that make the material for these chip makers. And then you have Taiwan Semiconductor, who is a foundry, as well as Intel and Samsung are the three foundries that take those materials, put them together to make the chips. NVIDIA, AMD, as well as Intel's one that's both a designer and a builder. But like NVIDIA, AMD, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, all of these guys, including Marvell, AVGO, these guys design chips. And so then they use Taiwan Semiconductor or Samsung or Intel to make the chips. And in order to make the chips, Um, those foundry companies have to use ASML, Applied Materials, Lam Research, or KLL for the material. And then, some of these are individual stuff like the Amphel makes all of the connectors from those wafers that connect to the units. So that's why these guys are valuable. Aher Test Systems, they are the ones that, as a semiconductor is made out and the yield is produced, what is the yield? What is an efficient one? These guys test the quality and kind of verify which ones are good. So they all kind of overlap and go within each other. Oracle, CoreWeave, those are the cloud space ones. Symbotic, this is one that I jumped into as a robotic company a while ago. We're not going to bring up the chart for me. There we go. I got into these guys. I started following these guys quite a while ago. We're going to change this to a day candle. And all the way back in here, I started following them. I didn't really get into them. I wish I got into them more. But they had quite the run up, and then you see this huge move up here. That's because they are building the robots for Walmart at their logistics centers. So Walmart, like Amazon, is starting to use robots at their logistics centers, and these guys landed the deal with Walmart. So we come down here and we look at some more. And when that happened just recently, these guys are a robotics company as well. They had a great earnings report. And we could see that they had some really great news. They beat their earnings. Earnings reports are quarterly reports where the company gives you an update on what they did the last quarter, plus an outlook on the year if their year outlook is still on path and if they still are on track. So you kind of see that they also joined the Viva AI partnership program to boost the GenX testing. NVIDIA talked about the importance that robotics is going to make in through this AI. And one of the big things that they are saying is going to be a big deal is in the medical field. And that's where I find MBot. And they got kind of ran up when NVIDIA started talking about that, and they've came back down. So these guys are in a really good price now to start building an investment in. These guys are doing medical robots specifically around surgeries, using robots to complete very sensitive surgeries. So, we're kind of early in it, but this is a really cool one to be looking at. But something that I look at, obviously we can go into the charting and we could do that. But the point of this video I want to talk about is a strategy that I like to use called, follow the money kind of deal. And watch list. When you come into these guys, Intel, and we want to look at the options on them, we come right here. Options are basically contracts which give you the right to being able to buy a stock at a certain price. So when you see, let me see if I could get this on. I'll just show all of them. And is it gonna let me go down? Oh no, I want that to be bigger. There we go. This is, I have to just scroll it. So I need to do some editing on this because I haven't gone on the website in a while. But so this is called the strike price, and we're going to filter this out, filter for slides. We're going to do calls only. So a call, when you're looking at getting a call of something, you're looking at buying it and you want the price to go up. So if I was to buy, I wish these settings, descending, just so I could find them a little better. So here we are at the current price. Intel is currently at 41.41. These are lower than the strike, meaning that these ones are in the money and these ones are out of the money, but we're looking at them as potential that they could go up. So on these, when you're looking at them, how can I, oh, here we go, this weekly. I want to lower this. Oh, I guess I can only go through. So not all equities have weeklies. This is because they have a higher volume, and then as you see, as you go farther out, they stop doing the weeklies. Weekly just means that they have a contract that expires every Friday. All contracts expire on Friday. Most stocks you'll see have the third Friday of the month as their option. And when you look at these, one of the things that I look for is right here in open interest. So that is how many of these contracts are owned. And you see there is a ton of at the $40. But as we kind of go up, we see a huge amount for, this is December 19th, so about 2 weeks out. You start looking for what is kind of the normal. So since we're in this month, this is going to be the contract point of interest. There's going to be a lot more action and a lot more at this one, are a lot more open interest and volume on these ones. So looking through 42,000 at 45, they're looking for a 10% move. That there is that many people who are buying to think that the price is going to be up because of that. There's some reassurance that there is bigger money looking for the price to go up. We even move up to the $50 strike, and there's almost 41,000. These are much bigger than you see in the other ones, only being 5 or 6 or 9, 2, 13 tiny numbers. And then there's none owned in this range. And then you go up to the 60, and all of a sudden there's 37,000 again, and then it tops out at 75. So that's on a shorter term that people are looking at that. So just for comparison, skip the weeklies. Those are more for day traders who are looking for short ins and outs. When you want to look at the bigger interest, you look at the monthlies. And so we're going to come back down to where the price is right now. And this is for January. So this is about, what is this, about 5-6 weeks out? Doesn't tell me how far out. I'm doing the math. I think that's about 6 weeks out or so. And again, just kind of comparing the numbers. So 80,000 is a big one at 40. There is a lot of confidence that this price is going to stay above 40. As we go up, we see 45 jumps up again, and 69,000 buys at the $45 strike, and we go up and we see 11. That's kind of a bigger one. You'll see that these whole numbers typically are where people kind of bank on and get interesting. So 113,000 is our biggest so far. That is a massive number. To me, that is pointing at, that is not retail. That is not the average investor coming in and buying large amounts. That is a whale of sorts, an institution of sorts, or these large banks are banking on this, and they are getting these contracts up there, way up there. And then this one, 240,999. I saw this one, and this is what got me really, really behind Intel with a lot of confidence. I've been following Intel very closely for about a year now. But this open interest spiked on these contracts in September, about a week before Intel and NVIDIA announced a joint venture kind of partnership deal where NVIDIA took a stake in Intel, and they were going to work together on expanding projects. And this was just before that. And then magically, Intel had a 35% day in gain on NVIDIA. So when I look at Intel sitting here at 4141, a nice fun number, and there is a ton of people banking on it getting to $60 it has to get there by January 16th, or at least close. So when I'm making a play off this, I always like to be down below. So I'll get into something that's a lower strike, like a 49 or 48, and then I would look to go into the money and sell before that. You don't want to hold till expiration, because the closer you get to expiration, your value goes down. I'll get into that in other videos. This is just a tool that I use to look at kind of the direction of which way they want to push the price. These are on the calls only side that I'm looking at, but what if we wanted to look at puts only to see how many people are banking on it going down by then to use as a counter argument? So if we're starting here at $41 range, there's a decent at the 40 and 38, but nothing crazy. 35. None of these numbers are nearly as big as to the upside. 23, this was where the government talked about a stake, and SoFi Bank talked about taking a large stake, and 46,000. So a lot of these are, to me, are probably more hedges just in case there is a big drop. But none of these jump off as, and especially because they're so cheap. These are so cheap. They're just throwing $1 at these. Um, and the price already kind of established that 18 was as low as it's going to go. So anything below this is kind of silly. Um, governments in this range, big banks are in this range. It'd be hard to see it go below that, but they are hedging that it could go there again. But again, these numbers are nowhere near as big as the call side. So to me, that establishes kind of a bullish outlook on this project. And if we zoom out on this, you can see I've been charting it, and I don't like these candles. I personally like these ones because they're easier for me to read and see. Let's break this down to weekly. So each one of these candles represents a week, right? And we can see that I've done some levels, some fib levels. I've done lots of charting on this because I've been following it. Back in the pre-COVID era, the stock market drastically changed pre-COVID, but this was kind of the trend on a long-term basis that it was holding. We had these resistance points right here, crossover, a lot of checking. The more times that these candles or the price will come and touch these zones, the more confirmation to them. And this part right here, a lot of support was built right here, showing that this blue line is going to be a trend direction that it's going to want to follow. So when it's above it, it's going to want to come down and test it. When it's below it, it's going to want to come up and test it. This yellow one, I don't even know where did that come from? I know I plotted it at the top over here. Oh, and right here. So this was kind of in the beginning. This is the 1990 as things got excited. The first big kind of spike up that we saw out of it. Skipping this run to 50 in the dot-com bubble era is what they would call that one. I could have ran that spike between these two to show. But this one, this yellow line lined up from the very beginning, that first spike, and then it also kind of honors both of these points. So I like that one. Is why you see these yellow and blue long-term trend lines. And then this red is the recent down. And then when it touched it again and supported it there. And then we touched it and supported it again here. But you see that we broke above it. So this is, again, another bullish indicator that price is likely going to go up. So if you're buying shares at 41 and you're expecting it to be in the 60s in the near term, that's a good gain. That's a 50% gain on your shares that you can buy. If you want to dive into the options, that's a whole nother realm that we'll talk into. But for basic starters, when you're trying to go into these and looking for sectors to jump into, look at what utilities you're going to have in these. So personally, I have a lot of focus on the data centers. This one I found recently through this right here. So Nance, NANC, is an ETF from Unusual Whales that they set up that is based on the Democrat portfolio. So it takes all of the average congresspersons who are Democrat representatives and what holdings they have in their personal portfolios. And then GOP is the same thing, but for Republicans. The number one holding, I don't know if it's the same. I wonder if I can come in here. Is it going to let me? So since we have a GOP predominant holding, wanted to see who we have. Analysis, top 10 holdings right here. Is this one, VIX, Comfort System USA, which is how I came up with putting them in my play, that I want to follow them. And if we look at them, they've had quite a run this year after the elections. This goes back to Their low point being in April when the whole market kind of got crazy with the tariffs. Quite the run up from 275 to over 1,000, and currently sitting in this $1,001 range. So what are they? What do we want to know about these guys? And we can look at an analysis. Nope, brief profile. Is a provider of commercial, industrial, institutional heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC. The company operates through two segments, mechanical, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, as well as offsite construction, monitoring fire. It also installs connecting distributors elements such as piping and ducting. The electrical segment includes installation and servicing electrical systems. It builds, installs, maintains, repairs, replaces mechanical, electrical, and plumbing MEP systems throughout its 47 operating units and 178 locations. All this boils down to data centers. They build the data centers. That's why they took off like crazy. They're probably they're not doing your air conditioning unit at the Walmart and making a ton of money. What they are making a ton of money is building data centers. So again, that's where the focus is right now. But if you go into watch list, you could always, this is your AI and Internet of Things. These are all different ones that I follow. There is a ton of them. And I can do a little deep dive in some of these guys. I always like to separate and follow everything. Even though I'm not investing right now in airlines, I want to know what the airlines are doing, and you can quickly look at that. ARCs, these are all the Cathie Wood ETFs. She's very tech driven. We are in a tech kind of era. That tech is going to be predominant over everything. Auto manufacturers, who's making vehicles? How they doing? These are all of them. Your basic banks. So most of these are like fintech more driven, whereas these ones are more of your brick and mortar banks, and you can kind of see battery EV specific. These are making charging stations, making these lithium ion batteries, and all of those for those guys. Beverage. How's Pepsi, Coke, and Starbucks doing? Constellation Brands does a lot of your beers. Monster and Celsius. Biopharma, these guys are engineering, are looking for cures and vaccines and all that. Got cannabis specific ones, with the legalization and medical side of that. Those are all really cool ones. This is your medical one right here, CRBP, casino hotels. And sports betting, I kind of threw that in here with DraftKings and Fubo was doing that. I might remove them from there because they're not doing too hot. But they were trying to do the sports betting through their app. Chinese stocks, I avoid Chinese stocks like the plague. I do not touch them. I'll do a video specifically on that later. Chips and semiconductors, again, we got into those. Cloud software. These were COVID-19 stocks that were specifically doing vaccines and treatments for them. In the crypto realm, these guys all have crypto exposure or are crypto themselves. As you can see, those guys are active even on the weekend. Dividend. This is a really good one that I like, and I think most people should be looking at getting into. Oops. I'm going to move this. Why can I not scoot over? There we go. Have to touch it this way. So these are some of the ways that you can break down and look and compare what they offer. This one right here is the one that I like to look at. And the dividend yield is their yearly yield. So these guys are yield boosts, which are going to be compounding, and they pay weekly, which is nice. They're just not going to be able to maintain that because they are dependent on performance. So these guys are making plays on NVIDIA for the week. These guys are making Palantir Technologies for the week, Coinbase for the week, and I believe this one is Tesla. So based on how they do in that group of weekly contract plays, they can send a yield out. And right now, it looks like it's crazy high, but those will always kind of change. And right now, we're just in a really volatile part of the market, so that's why these guys are making a lot of money on the option side. when you come down into these ones, I've been following ORC for a while. Orchard Island Capital. They're in the mortgages and real estate, and any kind of real estate company. You'll see that like Alexander's is another real estate company, and I believe Cornerstone is too. Um, these real estate companies pay high dividends, and typically higher dividend stocks will not have as much of a movement in the price. What you're making on your yield or on your return that you're as your investment is driven off of the dividend that it pays. The reason that ORCs is higher is because they pay monthly. Most of these guys are paying quarterly at those earnings reports. They're going to pay you that dividend every 3 months. Um, Natural gas line energy partners, so obviously gas energy. So as you can see in these guys, most of them are either going to be real estate or oil and gas. You do see Best Buy popped in there. They're kind of a unique one that they're paying, but Verizon and AT&T are the other two really big ones that would be considered dividend aristocrats, because they've been able to maintain or raise their dividend for so long. They're just known as high paying dividend stocks. I threw a couple of these on there just to kind of show the difference. Is like AVGO is one of those tech companies making chips and everything. They're more of a growth stock. So as you can see, they're less than 1% yield on the dividend. So hardly a dividend stock that you would invest in. If you're doing a dividend stock, my personal opinion is that you should be at least a 4% yield. If you're not at least 4%, you're not even passing. Inflation. So if you want to double inflation, to me, I look at the ones that are 6% or more as good investments. If you're watching and following these ones that are higher, that are over 10, because why would you not just put all your money in this and just make 20% a year? That's like a slam dunk. They're not as obviously, the higher that you pay a yield, you have to make sure that your cash flow is positive to be able to maintain that. So there will be questions as far as, can these guys maintain that dividend for 5 years? Well, if you're watching it, they'll let you know when they're not going to be able to maintain it, because they'll skip. It's not like you lose your money that you're in it. You just take it out and move it somewhere else that is able to maintain it. But like Alexander's has been doing their dividend for a long time. ORC's been doing their dividend for a long time. 5+ years already standing, and they're great. These guys are gaming and leisure. I think that is. I don't think it was gambling. I don't remember. These guys are in. What were these guys in? I don't remember now. Marijuana. I think they're specifically into real estate surrounding marijuana. They pay a good dividend though. So anyway, kind of just wanted to do a little introductory into some things that I look at. What people should consider when they are looking to invest in stuff is everything has a sector, and they move together. You can see a lot of these charts will mirror each other and be similar. Now, sometimes these guys are doing bad because these guys are doing good. When they're competitors, if a competitor breaks out and has a much better news than the rest of them, a lot of times it'll be negative for them. But a lot of times when it's a group of good news, you'll see everybody moves together. Just different. Oil and gas is always kind of one to watch. You can see these guys have a very odd price. I believe they're private, is why you can't actually invest. So these guys are going to be a very weird chart, but things to see and you can follow along with. Vacation struggling. Airbnb still doing okay. But something to consider when you are investing is, what do you want to follow? What are you interested in? Because when you're interested in it, you're more likely to follow along with it. And as long as you are informed and interested, you should be able to make a good decision on what's going on. Beyond it, you know, as a consumer, you know what you're spending money on. You know what other people are spending on. You know, you can't hear anything about the news or anything on any of the financial channels or anybody you talk to even that's not investing, and they're not going to talk about AI right now, whether it's ChatGPT, Grok, or any of the other ones. It's AI right now. So there's a lot of headwind and or a lot of tailwind, I guess you could see momentum in how is AI making money. So let's make money on AI. I'll deep dive into some of the individual ones and some of the other videos. I just know that I've made a lot of videos specifically around TXC, and that was based on requests. So I figured I would introduce my stock side of things and what I like to look at over on this side. I will start cranking out some more videos of this to kind of supplement the channel and share um, some individuals on what I'm looking at and how to chart on this side. Because the charting crosses over, whether you're charting Bitcoin, Texacoin, XRP, Intel, Google, or Coca-Cola, you know, the charts all move kind of similar and are reactive. Um, as an investor of what you're looking to invest in, you know, what are you using, and what do you like? What is something that you see the world is in need of? Because you're gonna want to, because when you're investing, you're not putting your money in there today to necessarily get rich tomorrow. You know, ideally you want to get in before everything gets too crazy and then benefit in 3 to 5 years. So long-term horizon on investing. We will dive into some of the options trading and day trading that I kind of barely touched on in this video, but I just wanted to get into an introduction onto the stock side of things, because I want to be able to, I want to grow this this community that I'm trying to help, with everything, from stocks to crypto. I want to get into real estate talk and how to make a real estate portfolio profitable. Gold and silver. You know, I've I've done some of the paper gold and silver, and I've invested some. I bought some silver with my dad. My dad is a huge gold and silver investor who's now turned into a major crypto player. He loves his TXC. Um, and there's other ways. And then, you know, I started my business. My dad is an entrepreneur, started running his business. I've learned a lot from him. I followed a lot of motivational speakers. Follow a lot of entrepreneurs who've shed some knowledge on me that I can now reverberate back to you guys. So if you have ever thought about wanting to start a business, I can give you my experience. I can show you. I could talk on what my dad's experience was as I witnessed him, and kind of the group consentment of, you know, what to do and how to do. I'd love to be your sounding board if you're looking at starting a business. Um, Maybe help you along the way of getting through some of the bumps and growing pains that you get in the beginning. Uh, if you're looking to do that, because I think everybody should try it. If you don't like your job, try doing it yourself, and that could be a good way. Real estate is a great investment. That's hot topic right now with interest rates, cost of living, and everything. It's when you look at the cost of living consentment, when anybody you talk to, the number one first highest priority is shelter, is housing, rent, and owning, affordability, and how. So there's plenty of people who utilize that because people have to have shelter, that they want to build a real estate portfolio. And there are certain tricks and ways to do it to make sure that you're profitable in doing so, and how to do it. So I don't mind talking about that stuff either. I'll try to make some videos for that because I really want to build this into a multi stream channel of wealth building so that we can all help each other. I don't think that I'm a guru expert by no means. I just like this stuff and I like talking about it. And, you know, a big saying that I have is friction creates fire. So if we talk about it, we can learn about it and we can grow it. So I hope that this could be a great tool for a lot of people to utilize and build wealth, whether it's from me directly or from somebody that the community that somebody joins into the community that's even smarter than me. The smartest person in the building is not always the smartest person in the room. You know, is something else that I echo and talk about. And I like finding people who are smarter than me to bring around and have them share their knowledge with me to then share their knowledge through me to somebody else. So there might be some smart people in this community, smarter than me, that can be more helpful too. So we shall see. But a little introduction into stocks. Sorry for a little bit longer video. I tend to ramble at the end of these. I will probably get better at getting these closer to 15-minute videos so I don't take up your whole day with me rambling. But got to start somewhere. So have a good day. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.